How's it going? So, I'm going to do a brief introduction to the gut microbiome and why it's so important for us to eat so much fiber-rich foods. So, let's get started then. Did you know that the average person eats about 3 pounds of food a day? So that's like pretty hefty. And so if you take 3 pounds of food per day and then you times it by 365 days, you get over 1,000 pounds. 1,000 pounds of food that we ingest, which is insane if you think about our bodies and our health. Like, we are literally what we eat. So that 1,000 pounds contributes towards our health every day of the year. So within your lifetime, that actually is about 80,000 pounds. I can't even imagine that much in food, but it all passes through our gut. So everything we eat, good or bad, comes in contact with our gut, and a lot of it gets involved with our gut microbiome. So they all interact, and the gut microbiome is so important to our health and how it sends feedback to our body and our brain, and how it produces all these different things that help contribute to our health. So, fun facts. Medicine does a lot for our body, but no matter what we do, no matter what supplements we take, they don't counter the amount of food that we take in. You can't really supplement for all the food that you're not taking in, unfortunately. And your gut microbiome are kind of lie detectors when it comes to your health. They'll know if you're eating healthy or if you're eating total garbage. So, you can't just supplement that away. They'll know. And the benefits you see in your body really, over time, can come from that great relationship with your gut and the microbiomes that live inside and the food that you eat. It's all connected. Nice little triangle. So, what are microbiomes? What are microbiota, actually? Be a little bit less broad. So, your microbiota, or your gut microbes, they're funguses and they're bacteria. There are a whole host of things that live inside your gut that have like a symbiotic relationship, some good, some bad. But what you eat kind of helps fuel what they'll do, or what kind or what quantity of the good and the bad live inside your body. So, it's wild, but you always want to have that good amount of that good bacteria living in your stomach. So, let's see, the human body, about 10% of our DNA is us. The other 90% of the cells that live in our body are not even human. They're all our gut microbiome. So we're basically bacteria and other type of funguses and interesting things that live in our gut. So even though we're human, most of our DNA is not, which is wild. Most of the time when we talk to another human being, we're thinking, oh, I'm communicating with a person, but you're actually talking to more foreign DNA than the actual person itself. It's wild. But yeah. So we're just like a giant ecosystem. You know, just creating that right environment for our gut so that those bacteria, that crazy foreign DNA that lives and thrives inside of us, so that it has a place to live. So it's wild. Never really think of people as a giant, like, biodome of diversity, but it's what we are. And we're all unique. So my microbiota won't be the same as yours. My microbiota changes throughout what I eat, throughout the day. Today, actually. So, like, if I eat a bunch of garbage food from Taco Bell versus if I eat a really big plant-based meal plan, then it would be completely different. So, everything is unique to you and your diet and the time that you're in. You know, if I was a pregnant lady who ate all kinds of hamburgers or something, I wouldn't have the same microbiome as I do as a 20 to 30 something year old male who may eat vegan food or something. So it's wild how it just varies so much from person to person. We all have different environments. It's kind of like your gut. One person's gut could be like the Arctic, and some other's gut could be like a tropical rainforest, and someone's gut could be like the Everglades or like the volcanic environment where thermophiles or something live. Like, we all have different environments in our body based on what we eat and how we treat ourselves and what kind of microbiota that we introduce. So it's kind of like if you're a city, you know, depending on who lives there and who moves there, it kind of really changes the landscape of that city. So that's kind of wild. I have a bunch of residents inside of me that live inside that don't live inside. My friend Josh or my sister or something. I don't know. It's wild. But yeah. So there's a lot of species of these bacteria that live inside. Some say is, you know, maybe 300, some as high as 1,000 plus. It's wild, but all of them, regardless of how different they are, they need diversity, because some food helps some thrive and some food helps some die. So that's why it's always important to eat those variety of foods, especially plant-based, fiber-rich foods. We all love fiber. It's good for us, helps us stay regular. But mostly it helps fuel our gut and keep those bacteria alive. And the more variety of food that we eat, the greater the variety that can grow in our stomach. But why is variety important? Because every type of bacteria sends different signals to our bodies. It helps in a different way. It creates a different type of chemical that feeds back with our body. So we always want to make sure we have a good variety of the kinds that benefit the most. And the kinds that benefit us the most are the ones from, of course, the fiber-rich foods. So always get your variety of fruits and vegetables, your whole grains, at least 6 servings of whole grains, of course. Always try to get the rind or the fibrous parts of your fruits and your vegetables, and don't overcook them. But even if you do, you're still getting vegetables, so you're giving your body something to feed on. You're giving your your bacteria something to live on. So that's a good thing. Staying healthy and eating lots of variety of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Because that's what feeds the good things in our body. So, where does this bacteria live? It lives in our colon. So in our stomachs is where this bacteria lives. And that's a great place for them to stay. Because as long as they're there, they're able to benefit us and send chemicals and things to our body that help regulate our immune system, which is very, very important. They help with all kinds of things like immunity, our metabolism, how we process and create energy and, heat from food, our hormones, how they affect our mind, which is crazy. To think that a lot of who we are is literally based by a bunch of feedback mechanisms from a bunch of bacteria that live in our stomach. Well, not really our stomach, our colon, but that they live inside of us and help regulate how happy we are, how we feel, our mood, our energy. It's wild. How cognitively aware we are to things. Sometimes when you feel like you're in a fog, it could be because you're eating garbage, and that garbage food is leading to garbage bacteria in your stomach. We don't want that. Stay with those fruits and vegetables. Also, gene expression, if we're gonna get a disease or not one day in life, you're eating 80,000 pounds of food. How does that food affect your gut microbiota? How does that microbiota affect your health? How does it affect your everything? But one of the main things is it can help express what kind of genes are activated or deactivated, or that have more sway in the whole scheme of our health. So definitely want to make sure that we're keeping the good genes activated, keeping disease at bay, and our gut microbiome is so important for that. And that's something that you can't supplement. You can't just take a bunch of meds and hope for the best sometimes, You've got to really take care of your gut, and then your gut will take care of you. So it's just really important to do that and eat healthy, because if you don't, what can go wrong? Well, lots of things. People say that there's something called leaky gut, and it's basically these tight protein kind of junctions between the cells in your colon and your gut that help keep everything tight, to keep foreign proteins and, unfortunately, bacteria and other things from getting inside. And you don't want your gut to be that leaky. You want those tight junctions to be very tight, so that your body can only let in what it wants to let in and keep out some of those things that you don't want to come in. Because when you get leaky gut, all kinds of things go inside. Proteins that cause sensitivities that you may have not have really had before. That's why people are so weirded out by gluten these days. And all kinds of other proteins that cause allergic responses and reactions and inflammation. We want a strong immune system, but we want to help our immune system not send it in a spiral in the wrong direction. So your immune system can be your friend, but it can also really mess you up sometimes. So it's really important to have that good relationship with your gut, so that your immune system can operate its best and in a way it's supposed to, and not be out of whack. So, fun fact. Also, bacteria, especially the bad bacteria, when we have the wrong number of those. So let's say we're eating that garbage McDonald's food all the time, and you're just chugging Surge and Mountain Dew or something, I don't know. You're just getting those simple sugars and all that high fat animal meats and all that greasy fried food in general. What type of bacteria live on that? Probably not very good ones. I personally would want the good food, but the bad food, it leads to, unfortunately, a situation where the good bacteria that live in your gut are going to starve, while the bad bacteria that thrives on the garbage food kind of takes root and takes hold. You don't want that. Because with any bacterial overgrowth in your gut, that bacteria can secrete toxins that are going to be damaging, as opposed to eating whole grain foods and fruits and vegetables that lead to the good bacteria. Those secrete all kinds of things that are so good for your stomach and your gut and help keep it strong and tight. But the bad bacteria, that secretes endotoxins. We don't like endotoxins. Those damage your gut. And that damage is what can contribute towards leaky gut. Remember, leaky is never good. If someone told me that they were leaking, I would be concerned. You should be too. So having a leaky gut over time, that leaky gut can lead to all kinds of things getting inside, especially if those endotoxins damage those tight junctions. We don't want that. Who knows what will come inside our body? Most of our immune system, about 70 to 80%. I mean, it's a big chunk. I don't remember the number, but it's really high. A lot of it is congregated in our gut. Why? Because that is where most of the outside stuff goes in. And our immune system protects us from those outside things that can make their way inside our gut. So, when you have a leaky gut and those junctions aren't tight and the good bacteria isn't able to help reinforce your gut and displace that bad bacteria, and that bad bacteria is overgrowing, and then you're fueling that bad bacteria with more garbage, and more damage is happening to your gut, and you have all this inflammation, and everything is just really permeable. All this bad stuff gets inside, and that inflammation and that autonomic response. Imagine the amount of autonomic diseases that come from things like that. It's wild. Everything from like rheumatoid arthritis to you name it. There's a whole host of diseases that are autoimmune, and they have all crazy links to our gut microbiome. It's wild how things are linked together and how they're correlated, and how one, can lead to the other. Eating garbage food for 30-something years. You probably are young enough, you don't really think about it. But some folks, they do that for long enough. That can lead to some damage, and later in life that can lead to diseases and gene expressions and all kinds of crazy stuff that overall negatively affects your health. I don't want to activate genes that lead to sickness. I don't want to cause my hormones to create an environment where I don't function very well. I don't want to get sick from a leaky gut and have all kinds of weird colitis issues, and it's just insane, love your colon. Love your body. Because they all work together. So, what do you do to keep your junctions tight, to keep the inflammation at bay, to keep your immune system working for you, not against you, to help with your hormones and to promote healthy genes so you live a healthy life, and to keep your metabolism good? Well, eat a variety of foods, not just any foods, plants. We are omnivores. We've got sharp teeth, but we also have flat teeth, and really make use of those. The American diet unfortunately doesn't eat as much plants as we need, and we tend to eat quick fast foods that unfortunately promotes the overgrowth and the negative bacteria in our stomach, which we all know now we do, that negative bacteria that can just thrive and overgrow, it'll displace the good ones, and that's not good. But if we eat a variety of plant-based foods with all different types of fiber, there's probably more types of fiber than there are, I can't even imagine, like meats and anything. Like any food group, there's more types of fiber than there are anything. And we think of fiber as like a 1 unit thing, like, or 2 units, so soluble, insoluble, you know. Or if you're really sciencey, you can start looking at resistant starches and all kinds of fun stuff. But the truth is, like, fiber comes in so many forms, and there's so many different types of bacteria, and the benefits of all the good, you know, those good bacteria, as they interact with the variety of plant-based fibers, it's still in its infancy, but there's so much good that can happen from having a varied diet of fiber and really promoting a wide range of bacteria in your gut. It's wild. Because it's like a complicated matrix, and if you help your body by giving it all those varying types of fibers, imagine how much different types of good bacteria can thrive and grow inside of you, as opposed to, you know, you only eat one type of food and it's garbage and it's got very little fiber and it's mostly like meat or, you know, fatty or simple sugar. Only so many types of bacteria are going to thrive on that. You know, you're not going to have the diversity, and diversity is key. But you're going to have an overgrowth of one type that may be producing exotoxins in your body. You don't want that. So really stick to variety, because variety is key, because it gives you a variety of health benefits, because every one of those good bacteria in its own little part is a part of a collective, unique microbiome that can lead to an array of health benefits that science isn't even 100% sure about, but knows is good. This is a science in its infancy. But there's one thing we do know, is that we need to eat that fiber, all kinds, from all foods. So, you know, get that whole grain bread, eat those weird chia seeds or flax seeds, or, you know, a banana. You know, stick to, you know, the healthy foods you know, and add in foods that, you know, you think you might like. They're all different, but it's amazing how they can help you in different ways. So yeah, the microbiome is fascinatingly wild. It's an absolutely alien environment. inside of our own bodies, but it's just really small, really tiny. But it leads us to be who we are, and it's more a part of our lives than we know. So, yeah. Well, this is, I guess, hopefully part one of more on the gut microbiome from someone who knows a lot about the human body and the gut, actually. So just, yeah. Thanks for listening.